Hello. My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And I'm James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James. And I'm handling the chat tonight, as usual. So please say hello, send us your chats, your comments, and I'll share that with Beth, and she can talk directly to you.
Yeah. And tonight I want to talk about, and all of a sudden my keyboard didn't work, my computer keyboard didn't work, so I couldn't fix the name. Hot topics, dumb discussions, no light. Okay, so what does that mean? I mean, I want to talk about some items that are in the news, but that we talk about in a way that doesn't bring us any new thought or realizations. And I've got a couple of ones in mind, and you can share some too. So, but first, James is going to tell you about the Granny Rock Show, isn't he?
Yes, you have come to the Granny Rock Show, which takes place every Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific Time. This is our opportunity to experience Beth's wit, her wisdom, and her very uncommon sense. So over to you, Beth.
How are we doing? Are we...
Let's find out.
Great. All right, excellent.
Elvira says, super genial.
No, honey, that's not the right one.
Oh, it's not?
No, it's not the live stream, but hopefully we are live streaming. So I'm going to get started.
Okay.
And
here, I'll get rid of that.
Right.
Here we are.
All right, there we go.
There we are.
Hello. Okay, we've already got hello from Tracy. Hello, Tracy.
Yes, hello, Tracy.
Oh,
good to have you with
and
us.
some people already like the topic. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So now I want to talk. So I'm very kind of about this. So forgive me. But the first thing I want to do is a disclaimer. That there may be a lot of discussion out there that I'm not hearing. You know, isn't that possible that I'm just in a bubble and I'm not hearing all the... So I'm talking about some topics that I have been noticing or that I see in the news, and I'm looking at the stories about them. So, and what am I not seeing? What are people not talking about these things, okay? So I'm going to start with a really kind of a sad, ridiculous story, which is,
And Karen says, hello from me, and she sends us a green heart of friendship. Yes.
From two.
Our friend Karen.
So, okay, Chris Rock made a joke about Will Smith's wife at the Oscars or the Emmys or something.
Yeah, the Academy Awards.
Academy Awards, okay. And Will Smith slugged him.
Slapped him.
Slapped him. Okay, he slapped him. So anyway, I see headlines all the time, you know, and it's not something that I'm really interested in, but I see headlines all the time. This one is so angry at Will Smith, and this should never be allowed, and how could he do that, and blah, 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 blah. Okay, now, what nobody I have seen, now as I say, there may be people doing this, talking about the toxic male culture that gives rise to this.
Oh,
right. So we're talking about this event, and we're not talking about it. We're not even talking about it, right?
Right. Pat says, girl slapped him.
No, it wasn't a girl.
It was Will.
Will slapped him. Oh, yeah. Like
that's right.
he's
Thank you, Pat.
Right, exactly. Thank you,
And then Todd
Pat.
says hello.
Hello back.
Yes.
So here's the thing. I'm not defending Will Smith. I'm not defending Chris Rock. But let's take a look at a number of things that are not being discussed about it.
And Elizabeth says hi there and sends a heart of love.
Hello.
Back at you.
So, how many boys grew up on John Wayne or Clint Eastwood or, I don't know, somebody else. Rambo or Rocky or whatever it is. Now, evidently, Chris Rock, who's a comedian, made a joke at the expense of Will Smith's wife, who has a condition where she loses her hair. And that's very mean spirited, right? And I really want to talk about how mean spirited so much of our comedy is. And that is another topic that nobody is talking about.
Oh, Todd says, I did. I grew up on all of the above.
Yes. And there are younger men who are growing up on other symbols that are very similar. You know, Todd, we're getting out there. You know, there may be other symbols, rappers, and, you know. Okay, so now if John Wayne, for those of you who know what John Wayne is.
Oh, Nancy says good evening to you both. Good
Hi,
evening,
Nancy. Hi, Nancy. So let's say it's a movie, right? And some lady is being insulted
Right.
by a drunk. What is John Wayne going to do?
Slug the drunk.
Slug the drunk, or
You can't talk to that lady like that.
that's right. Or he's going to pick him up by the collar and throw him out, or he's going to do something to totally intimidate the guy, right?
Right.
And we applaud that. Oh my God, look at that! That's John Wayne. He's so strong. Defending women. We love it. We love it. I'm not saying that I do, but you know what I mean. This is the culture in which we grow up. Men are supposed to do that. So now you have Will Smith, who's sitting there being insulted by Chris Rock, and so is his wife. And what does the toxic male culture say he's supposed to do?
Hit him.
Hit him.
Back.
Get him.
Push back.
Yeah, push. And, you know, if you're Donald Trump, you're going to get him politically.
Gonna
Make
ruin
sure
him.
that ruin him, destroy him,
Yeah, destroy
corrupt the
him.
guy, you know, vengeance, whatever it is. So, and I hate to admit it, but there's a lot of women who say, oh yeah, I love it, my man is protecting me. Oh, darling, I don't want you to get hurt. Don't go out there and fight with that meanie. You know, I'm concerned about you. But on the other hand, it's like, my guy really cares about me. So now, why aren't we talking about that?
Good question.
Seriously. I mean, why aren't we talking about that? So why are we not putting it in the context of how men are brought up to behave and what women are expecting men to behave like as well in order to feel protected? Now, sometimes you'll see a movie where the woman says, oh, I don't want you to do that because I'm against violence, right? Or she's going to say, I don't want you to do that because I don't want you to get your head smashed. Hey.
Oh, here we have a comment from Amy. It says, great topic. As usual, people are interested in headline-grabbing topics and not in any discussion about how society supports the toxic culture underneath the behavior of men, which hurts both women and men.
That is right. How true it is. And I don't really care about the Academy Awards, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't care about that. I do care about the people, you know, and I would love to have seen a real conversation. And I would love to see a real conversation about comedy. Why is comedy so nasty so often? I mean,
Insult humor.
insult humor. Or, you know, in the old days, it was the guy walking and slipping on the banana peel, right? And he would fall. And everybody laughed. I absolutely don't see anything funny about that. I don't think anything funny about all of this negativity. And in fact, Sweet Baby James and I tried to find a TV show on Netflix or Amazon or something the other night, and it was like every show, the first 5 minutes, there were at least 10 sex jokes, and the people were stupid, nasty, like
Very
adolescent
superficial, slick and cool. You know, everybody trying to be cool and slick.
And I don't see anything cool about it. It was just kind of stupid and young and youthful. And I mean, what is it? Everybody who watches TV now is 15 or 13 or 12. So it's just this whole thing about humor being hurtful, and we laugh. Why? Why do we laugh at hurtful things? You know? Why do we laugh at hurtful things? So, and people wouldn't make those kind of jokes if they weren't getting laughs. And why are men brought up to look powerful? I mean, this leads to Vladimir Putin, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
wants to be all powerful.
He wants to be he wants to look really powerful. And also,
and have absolute power, like in Russia, controlling what people say, and you get sent to prison if you say the wrong things.
Right. So, I mean, you may not see the connection between Will Smith and Chris Rock and Vladimir Putin, but it's there. It's that toxic male culture where men feel obliged to look tough. In fact, one of the things that I see a lot now, that a lot of people don't like the current president, who did like the last president, because he didn't care how many people he insulted or hurt or humiliated, and that was considered strong. Strong. I don't think it's strong. And so then the current president looks weak. You know, he's not living up to Clint Eastwood or any of these other guys, right?
Yeah.
And it's almost embarrassing to say, well, you know, maybe he's doing a good job with this, or maybe he's doing because you don't want to be associated with the weak guy. Nobody wants to be associated with the weak guy. No, the skinny, weak guy.
The weakling.
The weakling. What's wrong with us, right? Okay.
Well, the fact is he's a very heart-centered president, and that makes him look weak. Because where does heart come in when you're talking about power?
That's right. I mean, maybe he's heart-centered. Maybe he isn't.
Well,
but that's the appearance.
He's had quite a history of showing a lot of caring for individual people.
Right, but that is not considered. You know, another president we had who was like that. I'm not arguing politics here. I'm not saying you should believe this, you should believe that. I'm just talking about, you know, what we see, the symbols, right? Jimmy Carter was another president who didn't look strong. Gerald Ford didn't look. He fell. I mean, oh my God, the man fell. You know, so what do we expect our sons to do when they're humiliated?
Look even tougher.
Right. Now, I want to talk about a different but oddly related topic that is hot in the news. And it's the topic of Leah Thomas. And Leah Thomas is a trans swimmer who beat out all the women at
Pennsylvania University in the Ivy League.
Right. Penn State, was it?
No, not Penn State.
Oh, Penn.
UPenn.
Okay. So you're saying, well, what does that have to do with this topic? Well, I'll tell you. We are being given a choice. The choice is Leah Thomas needs to compete as a man, which she does not identify with, or she has to compete as a woman and she's wiping out the other women. So it's like taking sides. Let's take sides for her, against her, and you know, oh yeah, if we're against her, then we're against trans. If we're for her, then we're not thinking straight. Okay, we have one more. And I'll tell you what I
Blanquita
mean.
says, hello, Beth and James.
Hello.
Hola.
Hola, Blanquita. So, how do I see the connection? You know, why is everything in sports about competition? I don't see any discussion about why sports has to be about competition anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You know, why aren't we talking about the world has changed? And people are coming out, LBGTQ, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so how does that change things? You know what I mean?
How does that what?
Change things.
Mm-hmm.
I have to yell because James is having problems with his hearing aids. We don't know when he's going to get decent ones, so now I have to yell at him. But
You get to yell at me.
I finally get to yell at you. So people are, I haven't now, again, there may be this discussion and I haven't seen it, but maybe you have. If you have, tell me. What about handicapping her? Like, okay, how can you deny that this giant woman who used to be a man has an unfair advantage?
And who was a man the first 3 years of his college career, and now in his senior year, the 4th year, he's suddenly a woman, and he's wiping out the competition.
Right, but honey, I sensed a note of resentment in that.
Okay.
So what? So the playing field is changing. So what we should do is obliterate trans people, right? That's one solution.
No.
Just obliterate them. Don't let them compete against women if they're women, or the men. I don't know that there's a lot of women who've transed to men who are out there competing. But why not look at sports and see how do we accommodate the new reality of people who are gender fluid or who are in a different space? How do we accommodate that? So I was just saying handicapping. I don't know anything about sports, so somebody will say, that is the stupidest idea I have ever heard. Right? But you know, when you go play golf, I was actually on a golf course a few times in my life with Sweet Baby James. That was
right.
a while ago. And, you know, there is the men's tees
And the women's tees.
are in different places.
That's right.
Because they acknowledge the fact that typically men are more powerful physically than women. Doesn't mean they're more powerful. That just means that they're more powerful physically, right? So we accommodate for that.
That's right.
So why can't we accommodate for this? Oh, no, we would rather divide and conquer.
Oh, yeah, like in swimming, you could have the this transgender man to woman start later.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying I know anything about sports, that is the best
But
solution.
allow for the fact that this is a person with a big, strong male body,
right?
But now in a feminine gender.
Exactly. So why don't we try to solve the problem instead of getting everybody mad at everybody? Oh, no, we would so much rather turn everybody against everybody.
Kay says, good night, Beth and Sweet James. And
hi there.
Several hearts of love.
Glad
back
to
at
see
you.
I hope, if you just came, I hope that you watch the rest of our show from the beginning. So I'd like you to think for a minute about other things that you see or have seen in the news where people deliberately have a million opinions, negative attitudes, and absolutely no light. Lots of heat, but no light. Why can't we think in an honest, straightforward way about these things? Oh, no. We would rather polarize. We would rather make each other fools. We would rather get angry at somebody. It's pretty sick. So if anybody has an example, what about you, James?
Yeah, I have another example in mind.
All right.
Well, the Russia-Ukraine situation. Now, NATO stands by and doesn't intervene except sending ammunition and other things, missiles and such. But why should we stand by and let a bully beat up a weaker person and do nothing but say, oh, well,
James,
here's something to make you feel better?
Is this on the same topic?
Well, I think
a lot of people are saying, why is NATO doing that?
Well, I just want to go further here.
All right, bring in some light here.
Bring in the principle of everybody's welfare being looked out for. So supposing we had, instead of a narrow alliance of a certain number of nations, if you're not a member, you don't get protected.
Right.
So maybe we should look at, maybe everybody should be protected, and if one of those countries is obviously the perpetrator of an attack, then all the rest of them can help out to get the matter resolved.
You mean like the United Nations, for example?
If the United Nations would take that on.
Right, which they can't do because Russia is one of the Security Council, right, is one of the vetoes, or there's too much economic power involved. I can see that, there may be a point in there, but I do think that there is some discussion of that, whereas the examples that I'm giving, I don't hear any discussion. And
Right.
I'd like to give an example of something that may be more personal. Okay, are you ready?
I'm all ears.
So, we have somebody working for us who is basically not super competent. And this person is making a mess and costing us a lot of money because they don't know what they're doing. Now, my first reaction is, ah, ah, fire him, which, we probably have to do. But it can be like, should we fire him? Shouldn't we fire him? Is this his fault? Is this not his fault? But what don't we talk about? We don't talk about what is going on with this person. We don't understand why they are doing what they're doing. So, for example, this person says that he can do something that he really doesn't know how to do. Okay, so now you could say, he's a blowhard, he's saying he's doing it, blah, 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 blah. But let's say if we looked a little deeper, there is a little insect right in my face here. Poor insect, I'm just a brute. I'm a brute. Anyway, do we tend to sit down and say, why is he pretending to know what he's doing?
Mm.
That would be bringing some light. Maybe this guy is in severe financial straits. So he says, yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. Yeah, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Now, it's costing us a fortune, so it's painful for us, and we're waiting and waiting for this to be resolved. It is painful for us. But why aren't we talking about, why do we have a society where people are that desperate that they would pretend they can do something? He knows as well as we do that he isn't doing a good job, right? But that's not the conversation. I don't even know how to talk to him about the fact that he wanted the job. I will give you something very specific, but I don't want to name him or anything. That he said, oh, this is going to work. He went out to this big box, hardware store, and he said, this is going to work. Well, it didn't work. So now we're paying him to adjust it and fix it and fix it. So why did he say it worked? You know why? In my estimation, it's because he wanted the job that day, because he needed the money that day. So he had us buy something that was not going to work so that he could get on the job that day, so he could get the money so he could pay his bills. And why aren't we talking about what is going on in our society that people are so desperate? Now, is he desperate because he's had bad luck? Is he desperate because he's dysfunctional? Is he desperate because he takes drugs? I don't know. I don't answer that question. But you see, the typical conversation is going to be, he sucks. Let's get rid of him. And he's not going to be very honest about it because he didn't want to be honest because he's desperate. We've seen a lot of these kinds of conversations about abortion and other kinds of things where there's a lot of heat and very little light. So this is right in our faces, and we have to be willing to start looking at things from a deeper perspective than we typically do in order to understand. So now, would you like to share a little bit about the Granny Rock Show and what we're doing and tomorrow and all of that? And then I'll wrap it up. Wrap it up, Beth! Would you just wrap this up?
Well, just a reminder, we're with you every Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m.
Like it or not.
We'll be here. And then every Thursday night, Granny plays unfettered piano improvisation. And it's just amazing. She composes on the spot. And the music is just extraordinary. And I enjoyed it a great deal, and we've had a lot of positive feedback about it. So I highly recommend that you tune in tomorrow night for Beth Green's Magical Piano Improvisations. It's every Thursday at 7 p.m. on the same Facebook channel.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So Thursday night at 7 p.m. Pacific time, Wednesday night at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. So now I'd like you to take a look before we go and ask yourself if you were annoyed by this program. If it got in the way of the easy side taking, the easy answers, right, that we prefer over deep thought. And what is the consequence of not having deep thought is that there is no progress, because we say the same things over and over. We have the same conversations year after year after year, and the pendulum swings this way and then the pendulum swings that way. There's no depth, there's no understanding, there's no coming together, because we don't get to the bottom of things. And therefore, we can't solve problems. So that is what I think. And I'd love to hear from you. Please like this show or love this show. Please share this program with the many people who need to support thought, real thought. And you may have completely different thoughts about the topics I brought up. I just brought it up as these were some things that came to mind. And look at that.
Todd says, agreed. Great show tonight.
Well, thank you. So please share it, even if you think you may annoy somebody. And think about all the things in your life that you don't want to think about. And all the things in your life that you want to think about, but you don't know who to talk to because they don't want to think about it.
Well, you know, having come from the male culture, the competition is just everywhere. When I was growing up, it was in every aspect of my life. Academically, sports-wise, competing for jobs, etc. And there was always that drive to have the edge, no matter what.
Right, and why? Is it really necessary? Does everything have to be about competition? Who said so? Where did that idea come from?
Yeah.
Who does that idea benefit?
Good question. Good question. And the result is I wind up trying to adapting myself to that culture, and I lose contact with who I really am.
Yes. Because this really matters, because it really wipes out deep understanding, compassion, and progress. And that is a very, very stiff price to pay for blinders. You may have a moment of, oh, I love this argument because I'm on the right side. I'm on the right side. I'm on the right side. How dare they think that, blah, 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 boo, boo. And oh my God, I saw a couple of things about the Chris Rock thing. It's like all these people piling on about, oh, how Will Smith shouldn't have done it, right? And it looks like Judy has something to say.
Oh, here's Judith's statement here. Chris Rock's remark did not warrant Will's action. Will is a egotistical maniac who feels he is privileged to do anything he wants. Plus, he and his wife have no morals. Really can't stand them. Wow.
Well, okay, Judith, you may not be able to stand them. However, you're still not, I know I'm going to lose you, Judith, but I don't want to. But it doesn't matter, because we still need to talk about that macho culture that says that men have to be egotistical bastards, or that they have to prove themselves. So scratch beneath that surface, Judith. I'm not taking anybody's side. I want to look at the culture that creates people like that. Why do we have so many people with egos walking around defending themselves and trying to show that they can do anything they want. So I'm throwing that one back in your lap, and I hope that you come back and you still love me anyway.
Great.
So we love you. Thank you for joining us,
Yeah.
and good night.
Yeah. Glad to have you with us. Bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.